us can storm a beach or drive a tank, but there's still a way all of us can fight.
Everyone seems to want to have a role in a Marvel movie, but most of the time the roles are already spoken for. There's only so many juicy roles to go around, and with a high level of competition, not everyone is going to star in one of these movies.
Whoa, get out of here.
Thankfully, a director can sneak in a famous actor or two in the background of their movie, allowing those fans to be a part of the experience. Many of these cameos you likely didn't even see, as they really are blink and you miss them, but we uncovered some of the best and most obscure cameos in the MCU.
You need to keep both eyes open.
Fun fact, Seth Green has a cameo in the MCU. Actually, if you want to get specific, he has the honor of having two of them. The more obvious one comes at the very end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. Let it sink in for a second. Yup, Seth Green provided the voice for the infamous character, Howard the Duck.
Gross.
Back in 1986, George Lucas executive produced this comic book movie, which has since gone down in history as possibly the worst superhero movie ever made.
No more Mr. Nice Duck.
The cameo was such a hit that Green returned to play Howard again in a quick cameo in Guardians Volume 2.
You're out of luck until you've gone duck.
While at a motor race in Monte Carlo, Tony Stark, Pepper, and Natasha make their way to their table. Upon arrival, Pepper and Tony share a quick rapport with none other than Elon Musk. Musk's cameo is significant. As the creator of SpaceX and the man who wants to get us to Mars, Musk is seen as the real-life Tony Stark, the filthy, rich, perhaps even a bit crazy, genius inventor.
Yeah, good idea for an electric jet.
You do?
Yeah.
Then we'll make it work.
Before she ended up landing a supporting role on the hit HBO show Game of Thrones, Natalie Dormer actually had a really tiny role in the first Captain America film. In the first Avenger, Dormer can be seen as Private Lorraine. She's the character who steals a kiss from Steve Rogers in front of Peggy Carter.
Captain, we're ready for you, if you're not otherwise occupied.
Nathan Fillion worked with James Gunn on a little film called Slithers, and Gunn wanted to find a way to get Fillion into his Guardians flick. Can you figure out who he was? During the prison scene, a giant blue alien confronts Quill about slathering him up in jelly, only to have Groot shove his wooden fingers up his nose. You guessed it, the voice of the creepy blue alien was Nathan Fillion.
I'm gonna slather you up in Navi and jelly. Go to town.
Speaking of James Gunn and Slithers, there's another connection between those two and the Guardians films. Gunn is a director who likes working with his friends, which is why actors like Michael Rooker and Greg Henry have appeared in all of Gunn's films. Another friend who has appeared in all of Gunn's films is none other than heavy metal rocker and spooky director Rob Zombie. Zombie is known for his intense flicks and nu metal music, but he has a much more accessible cameo in the Guardians films that you totally didn't even know about. He was the voice of the Ravager Navigator in the first film, and was also one of the Ravagers in the second film, of whom we can only hear. Apparently, Gunn really likes Zombie's voice. But wait, there's more when it comes to James Gunn's Guardians Volume 2. This cameo is pretty background, but the actress they got to fill the role is quite an acclaimed individual, especially in her home country of China. We're of course talking about Michelle Yeoh, who's best known in North America for her work on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Crazy Rich Asians. Yeoh's character, Aletta Ogard, only showed up in one of the after credits scenes, but the character is established in the comic books and has superpowers of her own. In the movie, she's a leader of the Ravagers. But who's to say if she has powers or not at this point, but like Stallone's character, she used to run with Yondu back in the day, confirmed Kevin Feige. One more here, we promise. There's just so many wacky and unexpected cameos courtesy of the Guardians. This one, like Rob Zombie, is also a voice cameo, so you may not have realized who was behind the mask of the character Mainframe. She was a Ravager helmet that spoke out during one of the after credit scenes.
I miss you guys so much!
The disembodied voice of Mainframe was actually the voice of Miley Cyrus. Would you want to see Cyrus and Stallone share more scenes together in Volume 3? Before taking on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Russos were best known for working on shows like Arrested Development and Community. It's the connection to Community that made its way into The Winter Soldier when they cast Danny Pudi, best known for playing Abed Nair on that show.
But trust me, classic college experiences never happen organically.
He's credited as Comtech Number 1, a SHIELD employee who has no desire to fight Captain America and his team of Liberators.
I'll check it out.
Even in the middle of Thanos embarking on his big day to collect the Infinity Stones and wipe out half of all life in the universe, there's still time for a little joke for eagle-eyed fans. The Guardians head over to nowhere to prevent Thanos from obtaining the Reality Stone. This time, fans will be able to spot Tobias from the show Arrested Development in one of the collector's displays. Daniel Cross resumes the role of Tobias and is even painted blue, a nod to the running joke from the show, which originated when Tobias revealed he had no idea what the Blue Man Group was, which of course led to the classic line,
"No, I'm afraid I just blew myself."
Are you ready to rage against the machine? Because the MCU certainly was right out of the gate. During the very first Marvel movie in their established universe, Tony Stark found himself captured by extremists and forced to build a missile for them. Tony, of course, doesn't do this and builds the first Iron Man suit and unloads holy destruction on his captors. One of the first guards to get it is actually the guitarist from the Grammy-winning rock group Rage Against the Machine and of Audioslave, Tom Morello. Considering the suit is a machine, we can now say Tom really was raging against one, only the machine definitely won this time. It's always fun when you recognize a director in the movie you're watching. Many directors like to hide in the background of their own films, but Joe Russo has actually done this multiple times in movies he's directed with his brother. He was one of the doctors helping Natasha Romanoff out in The Winter Soldier after she was injured in the fight against the Winter Soldier. In Civil War, he played the body that set off the chain of events and the manhunt to find Bucky Barnes yet again.
Just look.
In Endgame, he was a member of Cap's group therapy session.
He cried as they were serving the salads.
Richard Armitage is best known for his role as Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit trilogy. But before that, Armitage had a very tiny role in the first Avengers movie. After Steve Rogers takes the super soldier serum, an explosion goes off in an attempt by Hydra to end the experiment once and for all. The Hydra agent is Heinz Kruger, and you guessed it, is played by Armitage.
Tomorrow shall take its place.
No matter which way you slice it, when it comes to the character of the Hulk, there's only one actor who owns that role, and that's Lou Ferrigno. Lou, a former bodybuilder, played the angry green rage monster on the beloved TV series that ran in the late 70s. So in honor of that, it's no wonder they wanted to bring the original Hulk into the MCU in some way, shape, or form. Lou would also voice the Hulk in the 2008 movie, The Avengers, and Age of Ultron, but sat out subsequent films that featured the Hulk.
Puny God.
Peter Parker is bestowed Stark Tech for his spidery suit. One of the perks of the suit is his very own version of Jarvis, or Friday if you prefer. Parker's AI is named Karen, and she's voiced by Jennifer Connelly.
Would you like to see more options? You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
Connelly is perhaps best known for her work in Requiem for a Dream, Blood Diamond, and for her Oscar-winning turn in A Beautiful Mind. Despite her high-caliber acting gigs, seems that no one wants to turn down a small role in a Marvel Cinematic Universe flick.
You can call me Karen, if you would like.
Doctor Who is that in the first Avenger? No, it's not actually the Doctor, but you may recognize this person from the world of Doctor Who. During the early moments of Captain America the First Avenger, Bucky and Steve are out at an expo, and each brought a date to the event. Does Bucky's date look a little familiar to you? If you're a Whovian, you'll recognize Jenna Coleman in this scene. Coleman plays Clara Oswald in that show, and is also known for her work on Me Before You and the ITV drama Victoria. There's nothing as good as a little inside joke, and Ant-Man, one of the lighter and more humorous entries in the MCU, definitely knew to play along when it came time for their cameo. So just who was the lucky person who got the cameo in the movie? That honor would go to comedian Garrett Morris. He was part of the original cast of Saturday Night Live from 1975 until 1980, and famously parodied Ant-Man on that show.
A-N-T-M-A-N.
Which is why his cameo makes perfect sense.
What the hell?
Let's shift our attention back to Iron Man 2 for a few seconds, because that's how quick this cameo went by. Early on in the movie, Stark and Happy are on their way to get their car when they notice someone leaning on the car. In the movie, she introduces herself as Marshall and serves Tony with a subpoena.
What are you up to later?
Serving subpoenas?
Yikes.
The actress playing the U.S. Marshal is Kata Mara, perhaps best known for her work on the early seasons of House of Cards and Josh Trank's Fantastic Four movie. Mara isn't the only brief cameo in Iron Man 2 where you say to yourself, hey, I know that person, before they're gone for the rest of the movie.
This expo goes on all year long.
The journalist on screen was played by none other than Olivia Munn. Did you ever think to yourself that the poor scientist getting a grilling from Obadiah in the first Iron Man movie looked familiar in some way?
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave!
Well, if you ever saw A Christmas Story, then yeah, he better be. That's because the scientist in question is Peter Billingsley, who was the lead in that beloved Christmas classic. Amazingly, Billingsley would return to the role in 2019 Spider-Man Far From Home in the Mysterio reveal scene, marking him as the only actor who has cameoed the same character twice in the MCU. Not only that, but the cameos took place 11 years apart. Crazy.
Thank you, brother.
Let's end things with how we started things with Seth Green.
Because we're also lesser-known Marvel characters.
He may have showed up twice as Howard the Duck, but if you pay attention during Iron Man 2, you can actually spot the real Seth Green if you're quick.
Oh, yes.
He can be seen briefly in an elevator with two models. The camera never draws attention to Green, making it seem like he was just walking through set one day and the camera accidentally caught him in passing. Those are just some of the cameos we found in the MCU to date. What's your favorite cameo? As always, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.